Welcome back for Game 3 of the day, where PSG are taking on one of the tournament favorites, DAMWON Gaming, and what an uphill battle it's going to be. Yesterday, DAMWON Gaming won in a slightly different way. They slowed down the game. Still super deadly, super in control, gigantic gold lead, despite looking like it wasn't like as dominant, you know, on
Oh, see, it was less bloody. It was less like we were smacking you in the face and hitting you. It was more like, oh, we're gonna win, and there's literally nothing you will ever be able to do. It's like a shield moving. You just can't find the way to attack, and it feels a little bit like they're just sort of flexing a bunch in this group. I mean, even the picks, like Nuguri picking the Lulu top lane into the GP, and the second I see him, like, oh, Finn hasn't seen this matchup since Season 5. This is not going to end well, and it didn't.
It did not at all. Rogue had a couple of fights that were okay, but at the end of the day, did not really have a foot in the game. This is the third game for DAMWON Gaming and PSG Talon 2002. This will conclude their first round robin before returning in Group Stage 2. And for DAMWON, huge, gigantic, enormous favorites in this game, no doubt about it, right? And what we're going to be looking for is just clean control play. We're going to be looking at how they, you know, perform against PSG. And for PSG, they need to step up. We need to see if they can prove themselves on the stage. River and Tank obviously coming back after Kongyue and Uniboy help the team qualify.
Yeah, I think you look at this game and you're just looking for some great League of Legends, because whenever DAMWON Gaming is in the match, they are always going to perform, and I think they're just a great team. So, you know, forget any of the expectations coming into this one. Just learn a little bit about the game here and what they can do both in lane and out.
We were so excited about their debut game on Group Stage Day 1, going up against JDG, and JDG, DAMWON, two of the teams that many people are pegging as potential teams to win it all. And DAMWON just clapped JDG. That Jace mid did not really work out. The draft didn't help them. And bringing us back to this draft, Ornn, Renekton, Orianna, Camille, Nidalee, Lucian.
I think PSG did their homework in this one, especially with Camille and Nidalee bans. Those are going to be good to take away, but as soon as Nidalee is gone, it becomes the Graves show for Canyon. Yesterday, he was playing with the Ignite, getting fairly aggressive with that pick and sort of having his way inside the jungle, and Canyon's just one of those players that on these farming champions has completely adopted them into his playstyle and is so good at expanding big leads over his opponents.
It really is a overwhelmingly exciting jungle meta when you see the players we have in the meta, the focus on the role, and Kindred is now going to be locked in here for River.
I really like this pick, because while Graves is a very strong pick in the meta, I feel like he is very counterable in draft. Not necessarily the jungle matchup as much, although I will say Kindred has the ability to outrange him, and with some crit itemization can outscale the Graves as well. But whenever Graves gets locked in, you want range and you want zone control. And what have they got in 2 picks here for PSG? You have range and you have zone control already. Kindred, if she's getting stacks, which we hope she can, but can be hard in this matchup, you know, will be able to expand on her range, and Ashe with her W can control areas in fights. Because Graves is pretty low range, it can be hard for him to step forward, but a pick like a Senna can do a good job of keeping him higher in HP.
I absolutely love seeing the Senna picks into the sort of death ball style comps, the close range melees. The value that Senna's kit provides that type of team composition is fantastic. Yep. Can help you get through that long range poke from the Ashe, the zone control from Kindred. We're going to see a Syndra hovered right now for ShowMaker, and this Syndra is locked in. So quite a well-rounded drop thus far already, looking to see what's going to happen in the support role and the top lane, because that's really going to shape how this comp plays out.
Now, like, so Tank, do you play the Echo? Because you picked that into your Syndra yesterday, and it looks really good. Not necessarily sure if that's going to be in his wheelhouse. May end up just pivoting to something like an Orianna, which can work into a Graves pretty well. And Azir accomplishes very similar things. Remember, we were talking about zone control against that pick can be fairly important, offer up some wave clear to the rest of PSG. And right now, PSG have a really powerful backline. They want to play back in fights with this, you know, the disengage they have with the Azir ult, the Kindred are as well. They are looking to set up a strong team fight, but now from Kaiwing and Hanabi's champions, we need to get them a solid front line as well.
Let's see if the tanks get banned out in the second phase, or what they're going to decide to lock in to help protect Kindred, Azir, Ashe. Irelia immediately taken off the table.
Yeah, and I think that PSG, what they're going to need to make sure is while they get these champions, you also need champions that don't get dumpstered in lane.
Yes.
Because DWG Gaming will dumpster you in lane too. So like a pick like the Aurelia, getting that one out of here just for Hanabi up top side, these all can be very, very meaningful for them. The other thing I would like to think about is like, could we see Kaiwing on an Ardent support? Just because you have 3 auto attackers on your team, you know, of course, the double marksmen are going to appreciate that, but any sort of like a Lulu potentially to give the attack speed bonus could be helpful as well.
Do you believe that that particular option would go unpunished from BeryL?
See, that's what's so hard, because I think like with a range support, you can get a really strong bottom lane. But also when I look at PSG, I'm like, Kaiwing, if he's not on engaged support, how do they do anything? And that's where it can be really difficult.
I love the board ban here from DWG Gaming. Kaiwing had some fantastic board performances as PSG were qualifying through the play-ins. Wukong and Irelia were the 2 bans from PSG Talon towards DWG Gaming. And the final Phase 2 ban will be the Jace. Now we're anticipating, or we're hoping to see some sort of front line here. The Jace pick surprises me, or ban a little bit.
Yeah, it does. It does surprise me on that one there. A little bit concerned. Hey, they actually did it!
Ding, 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 ding! Ender, you are on fire. So, what does Hanabi need to run in the top lane? You got your Ardent support. You got your 3 auto attack champions. He needs to have some sort of beefcake, right? And
well, I wish he could play Ornn. If he could play Ornn, then I'm just like, it's draft Exodia, as long as you don't get beaten in lane, which again is going to be the problem always when you're facing up against DWG Gaming. But really, you could offer up a whole lot of different tank options, maybe even a Sign, but I think it's heavily dependent on what Nuguri shows here with DWG's 5th pick.
Okay, well, I'm waiting to see what happens because the Thresh has now been locked in. Senna, Thresh.
Oh, please, please. Nuguri's Kennen is just a treat. And anytime you can get the option of seeing it, I want it.
And of course, that's going to make Hanabi's life extremely difficult on any number of tanks that he could decide to go with. Now, does he go for the tank option? Kennen will round out the team comp here from DAMWON. No, traditional front line.
Honestly, just take the L and pick them out, guy.
Top lane Lulu, support Nautilus? No, not going to get ahead of myself.
Just playing with
Let's wait to see what happens here with Hanabi's pick. Of course, on DAMWON's side, I mean, let's zoom out and look at the 5 champions they've locked in thus far. How do you expect this one to play out?
Ooh, okay, so DWG, of course, like, BeryL's Thresh is going to be really insane, so, like, playing around mid lane, getting roams off, that's all great. But now the interesting thing is Hanabi piloting the Lulu top that Nuguri just showed yesterday. So when the Kennen comes in, Hanabi is now going to be trying out the Lulu, and now PSG get everything they wanted because they get the Lulu that I said would be so good with their comp, and they also get Kaiwing on an initiation support in the form of that Nautilus.
And it's going to be solo lane Lulu, so theoretically, if all goes well, more gold, more experience, more levels, hopefully going to be able to benefit. Neither team has a quote-unquote front line, right? You've got supportive tanky champions, but I think this is going to be very interesting to see how initiations are going to play out.
And my eyes for DAMWON will be on Nuguri's Kennen. Because I believe that Nuguri may be the best team-fighting top laner in the world. The way he finds flanks, plays in the fog of war, on picks specifically the Camille and Kennen stand out from the games I have seen from him. Now he's on the Kennen, playing around dragon fights, getting into the fog, finding the flanks against a heavily ranged backline. It's going to be hard, but he's the man that can do it.
You've got to get through Nautilus CC, Ashe arrows and volleys, Kindred ultimates, Azir knockback. This is the ultimate Takeshi's Castle, like, challenge or run. Do you know the game, Show?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my word, you are so young. Okay, so the analogy is going to be lost, but he needs to get through an obstacle course. That's what it boils down to. An incredible, incredible obstacle course. He's got himself the spellbook, he's got himself the teleport, he's got some tools to play around with it. Now, while we've talked a little bit about the mid game and the late game and the team fights, for the early game, how is this going to play out? You touched on the fact that River can outrange Canyon. We want to watch how quickly he can gain some stacks because some Kindreds have not had a fun time here at Worlds.
Yeah, and a lot of the time we end up seeing that in professional play. Kindred
Yep.
very hard to stack up with unless you have really powerful lanes and you're sort of running over the game to be able to freely invade. So I would expect this to be a relatively low stack Kindred game. I don't think River is like gonna make or break depending on if he gets 10 stacks at 20 minutes or something, you know, which is impossible for anyone that is wondering. But I think that when it comes down to it, the team fight and the ability to kite back from PSG is incredibly, incredibly strong. And a Kennen coming in on a flank has to worry about all these things like the Ashe arrow to slow him down, a Nautilus pressing R on him, the Azir to knock him away too. So this is a unique challenge that Nuguri has been given here by drafting the Kennen.
But he definitely has the abilities to pull this one off. If vision and flanking can be set up correctly, it'll be made significantly easier. For the time being, Tank's order is given. Summon those sand soldiers and try to push back. Lulu versus Kennen trading in the top lane as the dredge line will catch up BeryL. Death sentence.
Oh,
not just yet.
the glacial slows on top to get the trades out. Very, very powerful on that Senna.
Race to level 2 is on. Minion wave was going to be dropped down. Another dredge line. Insta-flay back by BeryL. A lot of damage coming out from Unified. Summon a heal used already, as well as that ignite.
Yeah, but that's the big difference, right? Is Ghost is rocking the cleanse, so that's why PSG are trading so aggressively. Over time, Ghost will be able to heal up BeryL, and they did hold on to their summoner spells.
I do like seeing Kaiwing going in. I do like seeing Kaiwing pushing, challenging this one. They didn't just back off and you know, go, oh, it's DAMWON and play afraid. Unified and Kaiwing reunited after Unified was able to rejoin during the playing stage. Small advantage.
UAV online, Unified able to spot out Canyon in his jungle.
And I wanted to ask about this top lane matchup early on, like Lulu into Kennen. Surely it's going to be annoying for this Kennen.
No, I mean, this is a classic matchup. Like, unironically, Season 5, you would see this matchup a whole lot. And one of the weaknesses Kennen is always going to have is, like, his trading against a lot of other ranged top laners. You see Graves, or not Graves, Jace has a really good matchup. As Graves now is walking into the enemy jungle and will be able to steal Raptors with the early pressure from Syndra.
That explains the Jace ban. Not afraid of any of those tanks, and his, like, planning the Kennen, as you talked about. And of course, Kaiwing making his first roam. So bottom lane was pushed very heavily by Unified, and ShowMaker, if he steps forward, could be at risk of a gank.
I really like this from Kaiwing. The gank not quite going to work out, but it will help River fight for the Scuttle Crab. Unified, those are 1v2. What's going on?
Are you there? He's been caught out and taken down. You cannot play far forward when your support is not there.
It just should not be happening here with Kaiwing walking. Like, Kaiwing's like, what's happening? I go away for 1 second, all of a sudden you're dying. That's a big problem. And now, where River was just about to get double Scuttle Crabs, his mark spawned on the bot side. You know, BeryL should be able to roam up here in theory. River might be able to smite this one away very quickly. 19 HP.
Ooh, that was very close. Canyon's very low. Flash over the wall from Kaiwing, anticipating a Canyon flash or quick draw. Didn't quite see if it had been used. Nevertheless, PSG strike back. They get the kill, and they got the Scuttle.
Yeah, it is a very important kill there, and I'm very surprised that BeryL walked all the way back down into bot lane there, because I thought it was pretty obvious there was going to be a fight in the river. Unified, I can't even begin.
Nope, unforgivable. They caught out. You need to respect that. Now, Ghost and BeryL, they did jump in instantaneously, as Kaiwing showed in the mid lane. Hanabi is busy bullying.
Let's talk about top lane. Okay. I'm bored with the rest. I want to talk about Kennen versus Lulu because I do think it's kind of interesting because Lulu takes some really good chunk trades with her E playing aggressively into the Kennen. You can see Kennen will actually go Doran's shield versus a lot of melee or ranged matchups, whereas a lot of the time against melees he'll either become Cull or a Doran's blade. But it's a battle between HP and mana because Hanabi with Corrupting Potion he likes to trade aggressively and you can get Nuguri low, but low mana on Lulu. Now PSG are coming for the dive.
Okay, no level 6 yet for Nuguri. He's got the flash available. Kaiwing's level 2, by the way. Level 2. Manages to get the dredge line as Hanabi tanks up the tower. Kaiwing picks up the kill, but it is traded back for River. While that's going on, Canyon decides to invade. Kaiwing is playing the map. He's trying to generate some advantage.
Yeah, Nuguri will say we take those, and I wonder if DAMWON can even set up a dive down towards the bot side, because ShowMaker has fully pushed the mid wave. That'll force a teleport out from Hanabi. So now there's not going to be a TP advantage. Kennen will use that to get back up towards the top side of the map, but the lane's still doing well. Nuguri was not actually denied a whole lot. It was just about 3 minions that ended up dying to the tower.
I'm so happy to see Kaiwing on Nautilus on an engaged support. Now he's level 3 to BeryL's level 4. He's picked up a kill and an assist for PSG. In terms of the lane assignments, Hanabi was just covering mid after Tank teleported top, he was able to pick up that kill. Now we'll see Hanabi running up, using the blast cone to pick up this wave. So 400 gold difference in the advantage for DAMWON. River's going to continue putting pressure. He will be met by Canyon here. As the lantern was picked up, Ghost is going down to River. River now turns his attention onto BeryL, and BeryL and Canyon stand there, unable to defend their bot laner.
Yeah, really nice hook there from Kaiwing again, making it work on this Nautilus. 100% kill participation between him and River, moving around the map together to help get some kills. And I also appreciate River not immediately going into the early Drake here and instead focusing on efficiency, pathing towards the top side of the map where the crab spawned.
The first game of this PSG roster in Worlds against Rogue, Tank and River got bullied and run around the map completely. 3 games later, 2 days later, PSG are taking it to DAMWON. This is very, very exciting. I'm getting very happy about seeing Kaiwing and River working together. Now Tank is going to be under some threat, caught by the stun, caught by the death sentence. He had flash available and will use it. Not enough AP from ShowMaker, and he gets out, but that was a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, Tank was playing aggro because, of course, he knows Kaiwing and River are on the way, but BeryL was able to get first back onto the map with some boots there to influence the mid lane first. And now teaming up, it's a level 3 Kaiwing again. They're diving top once more.
Unbelievable. These guys have not left each other's sides. You need to keep tracking Kaiwing's levels.
I love this.
If these kills do not get secured and Kaiwing isn't able to get XP,
Hanabi needs to put the polymorph before Nuguri gets ult off.
Will be problem. There's the polymorph. They're not going to be able to stop the storm, though. A lot of stuns coming out. Kaiwing's going low. Hanabi's tanking, and River gets the kill. They did it again.
Very nicely done. I mean, Nuguri does get the ult off. It gets a little bit, close there with Hanabi having to pop the ultimate, but once again, going to deny Nuguri. Best jungler in the world, by the way.
It happens to everybody, okay? Face plant, but not able to get over the wall. Now look, 4 kills to 2, but there is a sizable CS advantage for ShowMaker in the mid lane, as well as Kennen farming up. However, it is counterbalanced by the fact that River has picked up those kills and assists. So ShowMaker, once he begins to build up more of that AP, will have the tools to kill people, but there are answers.
But can you kill people? Exactly. You're onto it right there with the Lamb's Respite as well.
The tools are there, and it will come down to execution.
Yeah, because, I mean, ShowMaker won't have, reliable people that he can end up hitting. There should be MR coming through as well, and Canyon, too, in these fights. So hard to teamfight on the Graves when, if you ever want to walk into damage range, you're in polymorph range, right? You're going to get shut down. You're going to get kited out. So this is why I do think Nuguri is so pivotal to the success of DAMWON, because he's the multi-man stun in the backline that reduces the DPS, that can find a one-shot onto a squishy target. But because PSG have put so much pressure into that lane early on, it has slowed down his snowball. It has denied him CS, it's denied him EXP, and breakpoints like level 11, Leandri, like these types of items are so pivotal on the Kennen to make sure he can actually teamfight. And in this game, you have to get a Zonias too, because otherwise you get punted out of the fight every time by an Azir.
Yeah, and all of the counterplay tools from PSG. They've got the lead. They've got the kill advantage. Kaiwing just dinged over to level 6. BeryL is making his way towards... Correction, Kaiwing dinged level 5. BeryL is making his way towards level 6.
Kaiwing has not been in lane at all.
That's exactly what I was going to get to, is I was watching his levels, and if they weren't able to pick up those kills and actually secure them, it could have been very problematic to be under-leveled and potentially a juicy target. And Kaiwing again is going fishing.
Yeah, Unified, of course, has the ultimate, so now he gets to join the Roam squad alongside River. They're just going to play for the Dragon here with DAMWON on the reset. They're not going to path down for that. Canyon was able to pick up the Rift Shield a little bit earlier on, so I think they'd be well off to try and get that onto one of their carries.
Going to be definitely trading aggressively, as you've alluded to already. And at 87, CS to 73. How do you want this Lulu to build? I know we talked about Ardent Sensor, right?
Exactly how she's doing. You get... Oh, hello!
That's Flash over the wall. Dredge Line will find BeryL. He's still got Flash available, manages to get the Flay. Kaiwing will go golden thanks to the stopwatch, and the Scout of the Week won't find a target, but the collateral damage will. River's blown up, unable to use the Lamb's Respite.
That's massive there. BeryL flashes forward.
Woo! Unified flashes over the wall. Dragon is enraged and starts hammering down on Unified. So the Dragon is not secured safely despite the backtimers.
Yeah, very important turnaround there from DAMWON Gaming. And maybe even able to turn this into the Drake for themselves. They put the Herald in mid lane, give all the money to ShowMaker. It's exactly what I was trying to say. Make sure he can get even more of a lead, because you can see 0-0-0, the man's got a bounty because he has 115 CS no one else in the game is really close.
Not even remotely. So 25 CS advantage, thanks to picking up Herald in that minion wave. Tank is closing the gap, but it does look like Kennen should be able to finish that dragon before PSG can arrive, and he does. Yeah, managed to see the UAV thrown down. A hawk shot from Unified. He's returning to lane. He's only got those long swords and a cull coming up against Man Immune for now. This is the flash engage. So remember, this is the choice PSG made, going for the kills instead of prioritizing
exactly,
the dragon.
But then there is the turn on to River here where the hook goes through the stopwatch target. Just hard to catch that amidst all of the VFX going down, and that will end up punishing River. This is a game where River will probably end up needing to get into a QSS, or likely we'll see Hanabi go for a Mikhail's Crucible. That is one of those good items that works against a lot of the champions somewhere.
I love the fact BeryL held onto his flash for so long in that play as well. Really understanding the threat to his life and holding on to the last second, pulling PSG further and further. But I'm gonna praise PSG for the time being. That the 12 minutes of gameplay, they have thrown punches. They are looking for kills. It's all been Kaiwing and River. 100% kill participation for both of them. And if Hanabi
it's lane gank time.
Too far forward, flash available, wild growth available.
Can he smell him?
He'll
I don't think so.
Oh, this is a scary kill.
He thinks something's going. Something's sus, but I think he's going to get banged.
Oh, there we go. There's a slicing maelstrom thrown down. A wild growth will buy some time, and the collateral damage sends him packing. Could feel it was coming.
Yep, nicely. I mean, he's like, at this point, do I flip it and try to farm, or do I just lose out on all of that? And he chooses the former. We'll still be able to find his item, but another kill on Canyon going to be very nice for the DAMWON jungler.
Yeah, it's definitely going to help out. Get that Graves a little bit more damage in his pocket. 1 kill, 1 assist. Nuguri on the Kennen. Dredge line not going to be able to find a target or the wall, as Kaiwing was then rooted in place. And in just a couple of minutes, DAMWON have been able to build themselves up a 1,300 gold lead, turn it around. River did not like preemptively flash or dance of arrows, so I think BeryL was doing a predictive hook. Didn't manage to find his targets, and now it's going to be BeryL that actually takes a little bit of damage. Ashe arrow dashed away from the quick draw, does a lot of good work, and we're setting up already. PSG just feel like they want to brawl.
All right, coming into this fight, just wanted a quick check-in. Senna 15 stacks. Kindred only 3, so 1 away from getting that range bonus, which again, very important, especially in matchups like the Graves, like the Syndra. Make sure you can get out range of a lot of their key abilities. Senna also has not reached her range bonus threshold at 20.
Not just yet. Laning phase going well here. One of the things we talked about, Ender, was DAMWON's ability to just like bop you in lane. Wild growth is available here for Hanabi. Nuguri's feeling pressure. Gonna jump
that's a kill.
with that Proto Bell. Continues to chase. Dawning Shadow fight out as well.
Oh no, he doesn't have ultimate.
To slow Nuguri. No slicing Maelstrom available. Nuguri committed everything there and Ghost ulti and doesn't find the kill.
Oh, that's tragic. He thought his ult would come up in time to be able to find the kill on him, because you could see like the attack speed you get popping out of the lightning rush there on the Kennen 2, trading really well into that Lulu, proccing the stun multiple times, but with the MR Hanabi got on the Athenes, it is not enough to finish him off. It's also pretty clear he's going into the Ardent Censer second item, so building for the rest of the team. Nuguri has hit level 11, River is up in the top lane.
Canyon's making his way there too. There's teleports into the mid lane coming out from ShowMaker. Hanabi will arrive, so Nuguri will clear out the ward. As we're about to move into another phase of play, couple of towers under pressure. ShowMaker should be able to pick this one up here with a very large minion wave to work with. Tank and Kaiwing now need to save River. Collateral damage goes out. Scatter the Weak is fired out, gets a multi-stun.
There's another one off
Ashe
the map.
arrow goes flying. And it's pressure in every single lane for PSG, except bottom.
Yeah, one thing for that's going the way of DAMWON, I would say, is they have double lethality users with double AP solo lane. So it's really hard for PSG to itemize, especially because the only real tank on this team is in the support position, so you don't have a lot of money there too. So, BeryL.
And look at that, flash over the wall, instantaneous engage. That's a great stun from ShowMaker. Teleport's complete and a tank picks up the second. Lamb's Respite was used, 40 seconds to Infernal, and now Hanabi wants to get under the tower. Slicing Maelstrom comes down, Protobell pops forward, Hanabi steps further backwards, trying to slow him, trying to enlist the help of the tower, the minions, the army, and it's not going to be enough! Nuguri gets the kill, he's being chased by a bunch of minions, and he will get out alive.
The solo kill between the towers from Nuguri, just throwing down with the Lulu in the old school matchup. You love to see it coming out from him. Just knowing the absolute limits of the champion, that was one auto away from him losing.
That was so close. Fighting in the minion wave as well. Hanabi just wasn't able to pull Nuguri close enough to the tower to make it work, and it feels like Kennen is online right now.
Yeah.
There's an Inferno.
So we were saying, right, level 11 for Kennen, so massive for his ultimate, both in the team fights and in the 1v1. And when you're able, like a Lulu matchup, there's not stuff you're dodging. You're never like really kiting out there. So popping out of the lightning rush, you get rapid fire auto attacks off, which apply the passive marks and get you more and more stuns. Works out really nicely for him in the 1v1.
Despite the early advantages that PSG were able to accrue, in a matter of 4 minutes of gameplay, DAMWON have been able to build up this 3,000 gold lead. They've got 2 dragons. They've got themselves another Rift Herald, taking down the second tower of the game, extending this lead further. And the death sentence very close to Kaiwing. Despite all of his efforts, the team is just falling behind in map control.
Ooh, Ghost getting run down by a whole lot of members from PSG, should be able to escape for the time being, but map control is going to be a big problem for PSG. All 3 towers are going to be gone. You can see here Hanabi isn't inside his minion wave right now, so all of Nuguri's damage is going to be landing. He can't get behind a minion, because if Hanabi can get behind his minions like he does here, it makes it really hard for Nuguri to connect one of his shurikens. But because that never came through, max damage was being applied from that Kennen. The 1v1 was won.
Yeah, definitely. There's the gold lead we talked about.
Arrow?
Ashe Arrow will connect onto BeryL, but there's no further follow-up. ShowMaker gets the stun with Scatter the Weak, unleashes the power, and doesn't find a follow-up kill.
That's Lulu for you right there. Just drops the shield. Nautilus is okay.
Easily able to escape. The Wild Growth was there if it was needed to, but that is what we talked about in draft. Those are the tools that PSG need. They need to stem the bleeding at the moment, because DAMWON are accelerating. ShowMaker still has a 300 gold bounty, 0-0-0. He's pretty much been in like AoE stun box every time these skirmishes have been set up, but he's hit his targets every time.
Definitely has, and I still like, the gold lead is not insurmountable for PSG, and I really like the composition they put together. Again, it's pretty hard for DAMWON to fight into them, because DAMWON, we already mentioned, like the engage options a little bit lackluster outside of playing for picks off of some of their, Syndra stun, Thresh hook, those sort of tools. It really is just Nuguri, and on Kennen, it's really hard to act as the primary initiator, because you can instantly be, CC'd on one side. If just Nautilus walks forward and tries to zone you, what do? He sort of beats you unless you commit an ultimate into that fight, and you never want to do that because you have to use that for the 5 versus 5.
If you'll humor me for a second, and when we have mismatched teams and players, like a DAMWON and a PSG, right, coming up against each other, one of the things that we always kind of talk about and imply is that the weaker team, the underdog team, puts together a team composition that helps not only shore up the weaknesses, but it's also easy to execute, Easy, clear initiation, long-range damage, etc. How easy is it to play this team composition from PSG? Because it looks nuanced to me.
Well, I feel like PSG, when you're playing from a position where you don't have to force the plays, it's not too hard. You just accept the initiation. Here, PSG are trying to figure out Nuguri in the side lane. All 5 members looking for him, while DAMWON push down mid.
I'm going to commit for this one. Wild Growth used already. Nuguri's going to jump forward. Hanabi's already dead. That was a 4 versus 1. And Nuguri gets the kill.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and say hashtag work for DAMWON Gaming, because even Canyon is solo pushing in the ball lane, so he's just like, yes, jungler's dream is just to show up in a side lane to pick up free farm.
All the CS, all the towers. Kaiwing gets caught out, tagged by the box. Multi-man stunned once again, but there comes Tag. The Slide Glide Emperor's Divide will set them up for a kill onto BeryL. Can they close it out? No, because BeryL's able to escape. He flashes out, and nobody goes down from DAMWON.
Canyon tries to get the style points there with the collateral damage over the wall. Doesn't find the kill, but DAMWON crushing the map, and this is the difference we talk about. DAMWON don't have to give PSG a team fight. A team fight is where PSG will thrive, but if you're just running PSG around the map, forcing 5 people to come top lane to kill a Kennen, and then he still trades 1 for 1, that's, it just feels terrible.
Tank tried to scoop up DAMWON under the tower, and it got so close. but they couldn't land that last hit, and DAMWON just extend further ahead. Nearly 4,000 gold, with 50 seconds to go until the Cloud Drake spawns. And that will be the third of the game for DAMWON, so on track for 26-27 minute soul points, and River may find himself in a little bit of trouble as BeryL and Kennen are waiting out. So Ender, looking at the minion waves, teleport coming in here into the mid lane from ShowMaker. I believe you can see Nuguri pushing out the bottom lane, so set up Dragon by the numbers, push the waves, and falter River.
Yeah, and we'll see a lot of mid laners use their teleport here just so they can fight over that mid wave right before the Dragon does end up spawning. Has the Spellbinder too, so a lot of burst damage. Nuguri also holding on to an exhaust. And watch Nuguri's positioning in these fights. If he can get into PSG's jungle, which he is now exiting, his flank with a flash is the deadly force that DAMWON need to crush the fight.
Got himself the flash exhaust as far as summoner spells go. ShowMaker, 400 gold bounty, 0-0-0 on the scoreboard. It's time for him to show up and find the kills. The team has played exquisitely around the map. And PSG now looking for an opportunity to
watch the flank from
forward.
Nuguri. He's going all the way around the world.
It feels like Hanabi and Tank are aware of it. Inside the pit, picked up by PSG. That'll delay the soul. All of a sudden, Canyon forced to flash and to play defensively for his life.
For Nuguri, he's waiting the whole time.
He's going to timeout, and here comes Nuguri. Double kill for ShowMaker. Nuguri is going to use the exhaust onto River. He finds himself another, turns to Hanabi, and it's ShowMaker that closes out the ace.
This is exactly why I believe Nuguri is the best team-fighting top laner in the world. Look at the patience for him in that play. Playing Kennen against these champions looks impossible, but he waits for every single ultimate ability to fall. Then he comes in on the side, sets up the pins for ShowMaker to knock him down.
The timing. The moment Lamb's Respite went down and Nuguri had not entered the river, you knew it was coming. You knew he was going to wreck. ShowMaker manages to pick up 3 kills and an assist. The Dragon did go the way of PSG, but the Baron goes the way of DAMWON.
Oh, it's just beautiful. The Nuguri POV, he has the Cloud Rift to slingshot him around the blue buff, and then watch. Lamb's Respite goes down, the Azir ult is going to fall as Tank comes in, and then he sees his opening, gets everyone double stun onto Hanabi and River, and the rest of his team can show up to... I mean, he's just 1v2 right there. Nice. Repeated stuns, got multiple 2-mans before finishing off the enemy team.
And replay brought to you by Axe, and of course Nuguri, he had the exhaust, he knew what was going to happen, he had the spellbook selection, kept him alive long enough to live to close out the team fight, 1v2. And DAMWON, now they've got all the tools they need. They've already been playing the map superior. They've already built up all the advantages, 4 towers to 0. And despite the fact that, you know, PSG found those kills, and I want to praise them for the decisions they made, you can clearly see the experience difference and the skill set difference in terms of how DAMWON play the map and how they utilize pressure. When PSG apply pressure on Nuguri, well, then you cross-map, play mid, play bot.
DAMWON's just pure class. This is very reminiscent to some of the dominance we have seen from some great LCK teams on the world stage in years past, and they have the individual talent to back it up. They have young blood. This is something that, you know, the LCK was waiting for last year. You know, DAMWON was one of the youngest teams they'd ever sent to Worlds, and they brought a new style. They played it quick, and they play it clean. That's the big thing.
Yeah. DAMWON on track to go 3-0. Close out the first round robin. Undefeated.
Nuguri, you know there's a Baron buff, right? They can sort of tell you're there.
Maybe it's base. Maybe it's next level. I know you know. Therefore, nevertheless, the rest of the team comes up and they just knock over the 6th tower. Only the base remaining here for PSG Talon. And this is going to be very difficult because PSG, ideally they want people coming onto them and using the tools within their kit. But Nuguri just waits for all those tools to be broken and then destroys them.
Yeah, and you don't want to be fighting in an open area either. That's where the flanks can be really, really difficult to work against. DAMWON just going to run it straight down middle lane. Sieges, that's just going to take everything down. PSG do not have the tools to fight, but the arrow does connect.
Does insta-click.
Oh, beautiful McHale's.
Yep, McHale's.
The pre-fire on it.
Exactly, and inhibitor number 1 is taken down. Inhibitor number 2 is about to be threatened. Still got 30 seconds left on this Baron buff. No Ashe arrow available. DAMWON will be very happy getting the double supers. 1 in top, 1 in middle. Well, 2 lanes of supers would be a better way of saying that. And they're going to back out. Spend all the gold that they've earned. Increase this item disparity between every single lane. 10,000 gold in the lead. And now it's just, you know, clean and easy. Push out the bottom wave, wait for supers to get in the base, and knock over the third inhib.
Yeah, just take it down, easy peasy. Wow, the champion damage from Kennen, a lot coming in the last team fight.
Yeah.
You have to feel big work done by Nuguri, who now has the teleport, but I don't think teleport is even really gonna matter here. So you can probably just walk it into the base pretty easily. PSG are now looking at the level 16 Kennen. And that's a big problem. The amount of damage increase you get off of that ultimate is going to be really, really large. And now with like defensive itemization coming in, we're 26 minutes in. Unified only has one item, still trying to work on the Infinity Edge. The backline is not at a point yet in which they can actually contest DAMWON.
No, 1.5 items versus 3. Pretty difficult situation to be in. And it just fell apart in the mid game. And I think when you look at the experience in the players, when you look at number 2 from PCS going up against DAMWON and how they're going to play the game, I'm trying to find a nice way of saying this. But basically, player difference, experience difference, right? And
look, DAMWON are really, really insanely good.
Yes.
This is, I think this is the highest skill level group at Worlds. I think between DAMWON, JDG, Rogue, the level they've showed as well, very, very high. That it's the most stacked group at Worlds, and DAMWON being so dominant is it's a tough showing here for PSG when the teams you have to play against are looking so on.
I am very happy to see River and Tank's performance this game as well, though, with Kaiwing and River, how they've shown up, how they did find kills, they did find impact, but just didn't have the macro, and the dredge line is interrupted by that death sentence. Gets rooted in place. Now Nuguri waiting once again, a flank opportunity.
Every time.
Just swap to flash, So keep your eyes on the Emperor's Divide. Keep your eyes on the Lamb's Respite. As soon as those are down, that's when Nuguri goes in.
He may even be able to go in earlier. He has the zone, he has the hook lands.
Kaiwing's in trouble, Wild Growth.
That's one.
Lamb's Respite is down.
Here he
the
comes.
Emperor's Divide is available. Here comes Nuguri. He's kicked backwards, but PSG are running into the slicing maelstrom. They're caught between a Kennen and a DWG team composition, and it all goes down. PSG put up a tough fight in the beginning, but DWG in the first round robin undefeated.
And they're gonna wait. They want all the kills they can get on top. Not gonna get it at the end. DAMWON looking real, real good here on the international stage. You know, in that game, we focused a lot on the Kennen. Nuguri, his flanks were absolutely pristine, but the rest of his team just could not be matched either.
No, definitely not. We've had 3 very interesting games today. 3 very one-sided games today, as we're 1.5 days left before we round out the first half of groups. And I think for DWG going 3-0, not a surprise. I do think the way that they're playing, scary as hell. And all of the pre-tournament expectations are being delivered on. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this group progresses, because like you mentioned, JDG didn't quite show up in their first game, and we'll get a rematch opportunity in a couple days' time.
Yeah, those will be the fun rematches to check out, of course. All the other teams hoping you don't come in second place in your group, because then you might have a chance of drawing DWG Gaming,
Yes.
and that is, if there was ever a reason to try and get first, it is just to avoid this team.
Now, PSG, on the other hand, of the 3 group stage games that we have seen, this was definitely the one I preferred the most, especially from the early game decision-making. I thought they had some, you know, very proactive plays. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's check out DWG's Mercedes drive to victory. It was Nuguri's Kennen flank. That'll not be a surprise to anyone. And yes, we have hyped him up a lot, but I think it's deservedly so.
Watch him go around the world on this one, too. First, he walks around, you know, the bot lane. It might be hard to tell if that's the bot lane, but that's the bot lane right there. Then he's going to use the speed-up ramp around. Okay, we're going to change the camera angle real quick there. He sees him. They actually saw him on a ward. That surprised me. But he comes around, and he knows the control is in the bush. So he actually hides outside of the vision for a very long time, not revealing that he's going to show up until the very end. The first ult comes down, the second comes in, and goes past a little dragonfly. Not going to take him down, but he's going to take down all of PSG.
It's just the patience and the control, but then also put yourself in the shoes of everyone else on DWG in terms of communication. They were backing away, like, started to then funnel PSG into Nuguri. it's just exquisite on so many levels, on an individual, but then also as a team playing towards that ability.
No, his Kennen is insane, and I'm telling you, like, I've seen a lot of his Kennen games. This happens in every game. The dragon fight on his Kennen, look out.
I was looking. It was terrifying. We'll soon hear from LPL expert Lyric before JD Gaming takes to the stage along with Rogue.
I don't really consider it gear. It's an extension of who I am. It blurs the line between fantasy and reality. Sometimes, I can't tell myself from my machine. I think that's by design.
Born free as the wind blows, as free as the grass grows, born free to follow your heart. Live free, and beauty surrounds you.
Axe. Smell ready.
To hold our heads up high and beat the drums to what we love. Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of a world that we defy, a soul ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last strike. Hearing voices from afar, join the madness when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day, we must attack. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of a world that we defy, a soul ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants?
Welcome back, everyone, to the State Farm Analyst Zone, where I'm about to be joined by Lyric ahead of Rogue versus JDG. Hi, Lyric. How are you doing?
Hey, Shox, I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me back on.
No problem. We were, really enthused by your interview we had a couple of days ago. First off, let me just put a general feeler out. How are you feeling about the LPL in general after the games we've seen?
I mean, after that Suning game earlier, how can you feel anything but great?
Yeah, I can see that. Now let's hone in on JDG though. I talked to you, I said a couple of days ago. Now we have some more tape we've watched. But for me, it seems a bit difficult to kind of extrapolate exactly how strong they are with the DAMWON game being quite the stomp, I'm sorry to say it. And then the PSG win, which is, not the caliber of opponent like a DAMWON. Where do you land?
So I definitely agree. I think it's kind of hard to judge where they stack up against the world's best. The DAMWON game was pretty much over at level 1. But the thing that was really cool seeing them against PSG was the strategy they brought out. They picked a bunch of champions that were great at diving side lanes, the Echo, the Sylas, the Pantheon. And that was a bit of a new strategy that we hadn't seen them do in the LPL. So I'm really excited to see JDG going forward.
Indeed, it was nice to see that. We've seen how important draft is and that you have to be inventive and be able to have different choices when your regular champions get banned out. What do you think about JDG's flexibility, especially in the top side of the map, and how they can adjust and improve as the tournament goes on?
So JDG were a bit lucky that they got to play the mid-season cup, because when they went there, they got a bit exposed. They actually got shut out by FPX 3-1, and they had to re-examine their picks. Zoom wasn't playing Renekton. He wasn't playing Wukong. Their bot lane wasn't playing Ashe. And that tournament showed going into LPL Summer that they were able to adapt, pick up new champions, and pick up new strategies. So I think at Worlds, it should be no problem.
That's great to hear for the LPL fans out there. Now we're about to jump into Rogue versus JDG. Stylistically, it's quite a similar matchup. You can both describe them as kind of the brain teams, right, who think about the game very strategically. How do you think this is going to play out?
Oh, I think this one's such a fun matchup. Like you just said, they're both a bit more controlled. They play for those later game team fights. The big difference for me, though, right, is both teams get pressure from different areas. We see Rogue look a lot towards their bot lane, which is why we've seen them playing a lot of Kalista. But for JDG, it's all about the top side, right? They've been putting so many resources into Zoom, and I think that's going to be a great place for them to take this matchup with Zoom going up against Finn.
Yeah, I mean, I like how you put that analytically, but let's call a spade a spade. What is Zoom going to do to Finn in that top lane?
I don't know if I feel comfortable saying it for all the EU fans out there.
It's fine.
I feel like Zoom's going to get his glass of wine and his nice steak that he's known for in the LPL.
I love it. I think maybe Finn can use some of those after the game as well. But we'll see, I'm not throwing him under the bus just yet. Thank you so much, Lyric. Good luck in the matchup.
Yep, thanks for having me on.
I just said good luck in the matchup like he's playing, but I guess when you're a caster, you kind of have some skin in the game, am I right?
Yeah.
So very interesting there to hear about JDG. What are you laughing at?
He's gonna have a steak in his wine. He's gonna absolutely eat Finn.
Well, let's see what happens. Let's immediately then dive into Rogue. I think we got a lot of good insights there. And as said, stylistically, very similar, but Rogue's still underdogs, right, Cadril?
Definitely. I think it all comes down to top side for me, top jungle. I think that Nidalee needs to be taken away from Hanabi, Evelyn needs to be taken away from Inspired, and then it's down to them. What do they want to look for jungle? Is it going to be Graves? It's going to be Lilia. We're going to see Lilia come back maybe. And then the top side, I think, obviously you'd favor Zoom in this matchup, but where Finn has been struggling on the carries, but I think the Renekton, the GP, the Camille, I think you're going to see a lot of fighting in top
Maybe
side.
a Mal fight. Of course, Frost, yesterday we had the DAMWON game of Rogue, and on the one side you want to say, yes, you held the line, but on the other hand, of course, DAMWON was waiting to pull the trigger. But what did you take from that game?
I think it was kind of expected results given the compositions that were there. And while it didn't look as stompy as DAMWON versus JDG, which was flipped on level 1, it was still so suffocating. So while I think a lot of people are high on Rogue, and I am, I love the evolution that this team has made into Worlds, some of the fun things that they're doing with their plays, like that level 1 gank and then diving the mid lane tower, the fact that they're moving towards the Kalista, I still have them as pretty big underdogs here. And I think EU fans might be a little bit surprised by that because there is a lot of hope around Rogue right now that they've had a solid showing simply because there's not enough exposure of JDG and how dominant that team can be.
Yes, and let's look at kind of the challenges that Rogue is facing. And now I'm going to put your coach brain to work and your pro player brain to work because we know that there's a glaring issue in the top lane. We know that this might be very tricky for Finn. How do you work around that as Rogue?
I think Lyric said it properly. Rogue plays through bot a lot. They picked the Kalista. Although I do think that Loken and Lumao is a really strong bot lane. I think that if they pick the Kalista, maybe get Finn on a comfort tank top like they did throughout the playoffs in EU and the LEC. Try to get him on a comfort champ. Yes, he's going to go down in CS. Yes, he might get dove, but you can't stop a tank from buying Ruby Crystals. Then Hansama pulls out the carry, and I think Larson is going to be their rock. If they can transfer mid-jungle pressure with a good draft into bot side, get hands ahead like they've shown, then it might not be the meta style of playing the game where you have the Camille or the Kennen, get them ahead, look for the team fights. It still works them, I think.
I think that DAMWON have created the blueprint on how to really deal with Rogue's top side of the map, which is the AP top laners, in that you can't really play a super safe tank up there if the Ornns and the Shins are disabled from you. Like, his other big go-to was either the Sion or the Malphite, and instead, because it's an AP champion that he's facing, Malphite loses a lot of value there, so you went towards the Gangplank, and then you can set them up for potential dives. So I think if Zoom goes that route, that's the route to go for. If Zoom does a more traditional, AD champion up into the top side, then hopefully, like Caedrel's saying, Finn can play weak side and grab one of these tanks that he's shown success with, like the Malphites, like the Scions. But I kind of feel like if people are paying attention, the draft has been set up there.
Yeah, and I think Finn will be fine in a way if Rogue play around it properly. I think the last time we saw it, there was a split map. He got Dove level 3, and then he was kind of out mid. So if Inspired can just use a little bit of mid-jungle pressure topside, get him some vision, yes, he'll get pushed in. Yes, he might lose a few plates and lose some CS, but if he's safe and their JDG's whole game plan into top side doesn't work out too well, they don't get too much of a gold advantage, he doesn't lose his tower, then I think just playing into bot side, get hands ahead, and then swapping him out into top side so that Finn is out of his lane. Maybe if he's playing GP, he can play weak side with his ult to catch waves, or if he's Sion, just maybe sit under the tower and die for the waves if you have to. But I think that swapping the bot to top side is one of the key things that Rogue needs to do.
Yeah, I actually really want Rogue to play a bit more of the early game with the Kalista that they've got, but more so in the jungle. They've had the Evelynn and the Hecarim picks, and those still need to have multiple rotations through your jungle before you can get the breakpoint of the itemization of either having the Death Cap or the Trinity Force, depending on what champion you're playing, obviously. But like, if the map is going to get split on Finn and they are going to set up a dive, Inspired needs to be on a champion that can play towards his Kalista, his Nautilus bot lane, and also try to counter that dive or answer, which is going to be tough against Loken and Lumao. They are no slouches in lane.
Yeah, because last time we saw he was playing the Hecarim Inspired. He couldn't cross map because there was too much bot and mid push. He couldn't get the jungle camp, so he fell so far behind. Then he saw later on his bot side jungle was dominated at level 4 by the enemy support jungle. So
slow loss, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, they were kind of bleeding out. So I think that cross mapping when you need to and dropping Finn when you have to, if they do play in top side, or giving him a little bit of vision, make him feel a bit comfortable. Maybe he has to use his TP to lane. I think if Zoom does get TP advantage, and then they get TP into bot and Hans and Vander fall behind, it's going to be a horror.
Yeah, it's just a lot of...
If they're aware of it, I'm sure it'll be fine.
There's a lot of ifs and buts and maybes.
It's a painful game for me right now, because like, now I finally have my LPL babies and my EU babies.
You gotta pick. You gotta choose. None more of this stuff.
But the thing is that like, I want this game to be close, but I still feel like I really want JDG to show the world that they should be in the conversation of favorites, because right now DAMWON have just taken off. And we see TES and DRX at the back half of the day, and so people are all on them. But I really want JDG to make a statement with this game, but I also want Rogue just to survive.
Well, no matter how he turned, this is going to be the most important game we can watch in terms of really seeing how it lies in this group and who is the strongest, or who are the strongest teams. And we'll see if Rogue can pull off a massive upset here on day 3 as they take on JDG. Okay, JDG after the break. It's all good. Nothing happens. I don't know what you're...
Caedrel's going backwards.
And what a dominant performance from JDG as well. Zero hesitation, constant aggression.
And Rogue have shown up to Worlds to dominate the competition. Congratulations on the win.